Why I regret moving into a nursing home. 15 brutal truths you need to hear. Elderly wisdom from an 82-year-old who learned the hard way. I'm 82 now, and I got a lifetime of stories stitched into my bones. Some warm like a summer breeze, others sharp enough to draw blood. But there's one tale I can't shake, one regret that gnaws at me every single day. The moment I let myself believe a nursing home was my next chapter. It wasn't supposed to be like this. My kids sold it to me like a dream. A place where I'd be safe, cared for, surrounded by folks who'd make my golden years glow. I bought it hook, line, and sinker. Packed my bags, waved goodbye to my little brick house, and stepped into what I thought was a soft landing. Boy, was I wrong. The second those double doors hissed shut behind me, I felt it, a jolt deep in my gut telling me I just traded my life for something hollow. It's been 2 years since that day, and I'm still picking up the pieces of what I lost. Maybe you're standing at the same fork in the road right now, staring down this path for yourself or someone you love. You're thinking it's the practical choice, the safe one, the one everyone says makes sense. I get it. I've been you. But before you sign on that dotted line, I'm begging you to pull up a chair and listen. These 15 truths are the lessons I'd give anything to have known before I handed over my keys. They're raw, they're real, and they might just save you from the slow unraveling I've lived through. This isn't just about me. It's about you, your family, anyone teetering on this edge. Stick with me to the end, because some of these will hit you square in the chest. And if you've got someone in your life eyeing a nursing home, pass this along. It might be the lifeline they didn't know they needed. Let's get into it. Regret number 1, losing my independence. I didn't see it coming. The way they'd strip me bare of the one thing I'd clung to my whole life, control. Back home, I ran my own show. I'd wake up to the sun sneaking through my blinds, brew my coffee strong enough to wake the dead, and decide my day on a whim. Maybe a walk to the corner store, maybe an afternoon lost in a paperback. That was my rhythm, my pulse. But the nursing home? It's a machine, and I'm just a cog. The first morning hit me like a brick. I woke up in a bed that smelled like bleach, not me. Reached for my book, gone. Looked for my mug, nowhere. Breakfast rolled in at 7 a.m. A tray of oatmeal I didn't want plopped down whether I was hungry or not. Lights out at 9 p.m., even if my eyes are still wide open. Want to step outside? You gotta ask, wait, hope someone's free to tag along. I remember staring out the window that first week, watching a squirrel dart across the lawn, and realizing I couldn't just open the door and chase the breeze. My choices, down to what socks I'd wear, weren't mine anymore. It's not the small room or the stiff mattress that gets you. It's the slow bleed of power. You stop fighting the schedule, stop asking for what you need, because what's the point? You shrink into their system, and piece by piece, you lose the person you were. If you're weighing this move, ask yourself, can you hand over the steering wheel of your life? Because once it's gone, you'll feel the ache in places you didn't know could hurt. Regret number 2, feeling forgotten. This one cuts deeper than I can say. When I signed up, my family swore I'd never be alone. We'll be here, Mom, my daughter said, squeezing my hand. Every week, my son chimed in. And for a month or 2, they kept their word. Sunday visits with coffee, grandkids tumbling in with sticky hugs. I'd light up, feeling like I still had a tether to the world I'd left. Then the tide turned. Life got busy. School plays, overtime, soccer games. Visits became calls. Calls became texts. We'll make it next weekend, they'd say, but next weekend stretched into next month. Thanksgiving came, and I sat in the common room, watching other families bustle in while my chair stayed cold. I'd stare at the door, heart pounding, willing it to swing open. It didn't. It's not that they don't love me. I know they do. But when you're not in their daily orbit, you fade. I clutched my phone, debating a call to my son. Hey, it's me. I'm still here. But I'd set it down, too proud to beg, too scared to hear the strain in his voice. I saw it in the others. Old men with watery eyes, women clutching photos, all of us waiting for a knock that never comes. Ask yourself, can you handle being a ghost in the lives you built? Because love doesn't stop the world from moving on without you. Regret number 3, losing my purpose. I didn't just leave my house. I left my why. At home, I had a beat to march to. I'd water my scrappy geraniums, scrub the kitchen counter until it gleamed, tinker with a crossword until the sun dipped low. Those little things weren't chores, they were my fuel. In a nursing home, they're ash. Someone else cooks, cleans, decides. At first I thought, great, no more dishes. But then the days turned into a slog. Empty hours with nothing to fill them. I'd watch the clock, waiting for lunch, then dinner, then bed. I met George, an 84-year-old carpenter who'd built rocking chairs that could tell stories. Here his hands sat limp, no wood to shape, no nails to hammer. I'm useless, he muttered one afternoon, staring at the floor. I felt it too, a hole where purpose used to live. When you've got nothing to tend, nothing to fight for, you unravel. The spark dims, the fight fades, and you're just another shadow in a chair. Ask what keeps you ticking, because in a place like this, that fire's hard to keep lit. And once it's out, good luck finding the matches. Regret number 4. My health tanked faster than I ever imagined. I wasn't a marathon runner at 82, but I held my own, shuffling to the mailbox, stirring a pot of soup, stretching my legs on the porch. Then I moved in, and it all fell apart. They handed me everything, meals on a tray, a button to push for help. I thought I'd be resting. Turns out I was rusting. The less I moved, the weaker I got. My knees stiffened, my breath shortened. One day, I stood up and nearly toppled. My legs felt like jelly after months of sitting. I saw Nalice, too, a Spitfire who'd strut the halls, swearing she'd never slow down. 6 months later, she was in a wheelchair, eyes dull. I don't know how it happened, she whispered, but I did. When you stop, you sink. It's not laziness, it's the setup. Everything's too easy, and easy kills you slow. Ask, can you keep pushing when the world's built to hold you still? Because once your body quits, clawing back is a war you might not win. Regret number 5. Goodbye privacy, goodbye dignity. I used to lock my door and breathe. My space, my rules. In a nursing home, that's a fantasy. Staff pop in unannounced, just checking. Shared rooms mean no silence, no peace. Need a shower? Wait your turn, and maybe get a stranger's hands helping you scrub. I'll never forget my first week, fumbling with a shirt, an aide hovering. I've got it. I snapped, but she stayed. It's her job, I know, but after 80 years of doing it myself, it felt like a theft. My roommate's nice, but others weren't so lucky. Loud snorers, folks who'd ramble all night. And dignity? That's the first casualty when you're a name on a clipboard, not a person with a past. Ask, can you live with eyes on you 24/7? Because privacy's the price you pay, and it costs more than you think. Regret number 6. Escape is a fantasy. I told myself it was temporary. If I hate it, I'll leave, I thought. What a joke. My house sat empty, gathering dust. My kids started selling my stuff. You don't need this anymore, Mom. Why float it moving back, they balked. Are you sure? It's safer here. Meanwhile, my strength withered, my confidence cracked, and the life I'd left behind felt like a stranger's. I met others trapped in the same loop. Folks who tried it out, only to find their homes sold, their savings drained, their options gone. The longer you stay, the tighter the cage gets. It's not a choice anymore. It's your world. Ask yourself, can you walk away if it's not what you hoped? Because once you're in deep, the door slams shut harder than you think. Final thoughts. Don't let this be your story. I don't regret getting old. I regret believing a nursing home was my only path. I traded my freedom, my spark, myself for a promise of safety that never delivered. Are they all awful? No. Some folks need them. But don't waltz in blind. Fight to stay home. Dig for options. Ask, is this my last resort, or just the easy one? Your life, the quirks, the routines, the you-ness, is worth clinging to. Don't let it slip away like I did. Drop a comment below. What hit you hardest? What you do differently? Your voice matters, and I'd love to hear it. If this rang true, hit like, subscribe, and share. It might just save someone from my mistakes. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next one. This version uses vivid imagery, conversational phrasing, and emotional hooks to connect with an American audience, while keeping the wisdom raw and relatable. Let me know if you'd like any tweaks. Regret number 7. missing the sounds of life. At home, my days had a soundtrack. The birds chirping outside my window, the hum of the fridge, the distant rumble of a neighbor's lawnmower. Those little noises grounded me, reminded me I was part of something alive. In the nursing home, that symphony's gone. It's replaced by sterile beeps, the clatter of trays, and the endless drone of a TV nobody's watching. I didn't realize how much I'd craved the chaos of the real world until it was silenced. One night, I lay awake, straining to hear anything familiar. A car horn, a dog barking, something to tether me to the life I'd left. Nothing, just the echo of my own breathing in a room that didn't feel mine. If you're thinking about this move, ask, can you live without the heartbeat of the world you know? Because the silence here isn't peaceful, it's suffocating. Regret number 8. The food took my joy. I used to love food, real food. Spaghetti sauce simmering on the stove, fresh tomatoes from my garden, a slice of pie I'd bake just because. It wasn't just fuel, it was happiness. In a nursing home, that's a memory. Meals come on a tray, lukewarm and lifeless. Think mashed potatoes from a box and meat you wouldn't feed a stray cat. One day, they served chicken so rubbery I couldn't chew it. I pushed it around my plate, picturing the roast I'd make for Sunday dinners. You don't get a say here. No seconds if you're starving. No skipping the peas if they turn your stomach. Food stops being a comfort and starts being a chore. Ask yourself, are you ready to lose the flavors that light up your soul? Because here, taste is just another thing they take away. Regret number 9. Friends fade away. Family drifting is one thing, but losing friends? That's a dagger I didn't see coming. Back home, I had my crew, coffee dates with Betty, card games with Jim. They were my lifeline. When I moved in, they promised to visit. At first, they did, awkward hugs and all. But the trek got old, the vibe got heavy, and soon it was just me and the walls. I'd call, but what do you say? Come see me in this beige prison. They stopped knowing how to talk to me, and I stopped knowing how to reach them. One day, I found an old photo of us laughing at a picnic. Tears hit me like a freight train. If you're considering this, ask, can you handle your social world shrinking to nothing? Because friends don't stick around when you're a dot on their map instead of a face in their day. Regret number 10. The guilt of burdening my family. I thought moving in would ease my kids' worries. No more late-night calls about a fall. No more nagging about the stairs. They'd sleep better, I told myself. But instead, I handed them a new weight, guilt. They'd visit, eyes darting around, apologizing for not coming sooner. We're so busy, Mom, they'd say, voices tight. I nod, smile, tell them I was fine. But I wasn't, and they knew it. Every time they left, I'd see it, the slump in their shoulders, the unspoken, we should do more. I didn't want to be their burden, but that's what I became. Ask yourself, are you ready to watch your loved ones wrestle with shame they can't shake? Because this choice doesn't just change your life, it haunts theirs too. Regret number 11, the loss of seasons. At home, I live the year, spring blooms, summer heat, fall leaves crunching underfoot, winter snow dusting my porch. It kept me connected to time, to nature. In the nursing home, seasons don't exist. It's all fluorescent lights and recycled air. I'd stare out a smudged window, watching leaves fall I couldn't touch, snow pile up I couldn't feel. One October, I begged to go outside, just to smell the crisp air. They said it was too chilly, too risky. I cried that night, missing the wind on my face. If you love the rhythm of the world turning, ask, can you trade it for a bubble where every day is the same? Because here, time flattens into one long, gray blur. Regret number 12, becoming a number, not a name. I spent 82 years building a life, raising kids, paying bills, earning laugh lines. I was me. In the nursing home, I'm room 14 or the lady with the walker. Staff mean well, but they've got dozens of us to juggle. You're a chart, a checklist, not a person. One aide called me Margaret for a week. My name's Ruth. I corrected her once, then gave up. What's the point? When they talk over you, rush you, or forget your story, you start fading into the wallpaper. Ask yourself, are you okay being a cog instead of a soul? Because here, your life's a file folder, not a legacy. Regret number 13, the endless waiting. Life at home had pace. I decide what, when, how. In the nursing home, it's all about waiting. Wait for meds. Wait for lunch. Wait for someone to help you to the bathroom. I'd sit there, clock ticking, feeling like a kid stuck in timeout. One day, I needed a pee so bad I nearly cried. The call button didn't bring anyone for 20 minutes. By the time they showed, I felt small, helpless, angry. You're at their mercy, and they're stretched thin. Ask, can you stomach a life on hold? Because here, your time isn't yours, it's theirs to ration. Regret number 14, losing my stuff, my story. My house wasn't just walls, it was me. The quilt my mom sewed, the chipped mug from my first job, the photos of my kids' gap-toothed grins. When I moved, most of it got boxed up, sold off, or trashed. You won't need it, they said. They were wrong. I brought a few things, a clock, a picture frame, but my room still felt like a motel. One night, I dreamt of my old kitchen, the smell of coffee in that mug. Waking up to bare walls gutted me. Ask yourself, can you let go of the stuff that holds your past? Because when it's gone, pieces of you go with it. Regret number 15, the fear I'll die here. I didn't think about the end when I moved in. I figured I'd sort it out later. Now it's all I think about. Will I take my last breath in this borrowed bed, surrounded by strangers? At home, I pictured going out my way, maybe in my chair with my music, my people. Here, it's out of my hands. I see it in the others, eyes dimming, stories ending in a place that's not theirs. It's not death I fear. It's dying here, rootless. Ask, are you ready to let this be your final chapter? Because once you're in, this might be where your story closes. You'll lose your independence, forever, the illusion of choice. The moment I stepped into my sterile, unfamiliar room, I realized this isn't home. Gone are my routines, choosing when to eat, walk, or read. My days now revolved around a rigid schedule. Breakfast at 7:30 a.m., lights out at 9 p.m. Even a simple walk outside required permission. Independence became a privilege, not a right. Once you give up control, you don't get it back, a fellow resident named Margaret told me. She was right. Over time, I stopped asking for flexibility. I adapted, but adaptation came at the cost of my identity. The psychology of autonomy. Dr. Laura Carstensen, a Stanford psychologist, explains, loss of autonomy triggers a cascade of emotional and cognitive decline. When seniors feel they've lost control, they disengage, accelerating feelings of helplessness. Studies show that seniors in institutional settings experience 30% faster cognitive decline than those in home-based care. Alternatives to consider. In-home care. Services like Home Instead or Visiting Angels provide assistance while preserving routines. Assisted living. Facilities like Brookdale offer more flexibility, though costs average $4,500 per month. Villages model. Communities like the Villages in Florida let seniors live independently with peer support. My advice, fight for independence as long as possible. Even small acts, like cooking one meal a day or tending a windowsill garden, can sustain self-worth. Loneliness creeps in, even when you're surrounded. The slow fade. My family vowed to visit weekly. At first they did, but life out there moves fast. Calls replaced visits. Holidays came with broken promises. I spent evenings in a crowded common room, surrounded by strangers, feeling invisible. No one forgets you on purpose, a nurse said. But when you're not part of their daily chaos, you fade into the background. I learned the hard way. Out of sight often means out of mind. The loneliness epidemic. A 2023 AARP study found 43% of nursing home residents feel socially isolated. Neuroscientist Dr. John Cacioppo notes, loneliness is as lethal as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It weakens immunity and increases dementia risk. How to stay connected. Tech solutions. Teach seniors to use Zoom or FaceTime. GrandPad tablets are designed for elders. Community programs. Meals on Wheels offers social visits, not just meals. Family contracts. Schedule regular calls or visits, e.g., every Sunday at 3 p.m. My regret. I didn't speak up. I let pride stop me from saying, I miss you. Now, I urge families, Visit even when it's inconvenient. Bring photos, play music, or share a meal. Small gestures matter. Your purpose and joy slip away. The death of routine. At home, small rituals gave my life meaning. Watering plants, cooking meals, even tidying up. In the nursing home, those tasks were done for me. Days blurred into a cycle of waiting. I watched others wither too. Like George, a retired carpenter who spent hours staring at his idle hands. I feel useless, he admitted. Without purpose, life loses its spark. The Science of Purpose. Dr. Viktor Frankl, author of Man's Search for Meaning, wrote, "Those who have a why to live can bear almost anyhow." Purpose extends life expectancy by 7 years, per a 2019 JAMA study. Reclaiming purpose. Volunteer. Many nursing homes partner with schools or libraries for intergenerational programs. Hobbies. Knitting clubs, memoir writing workshops, or gardening, even potted plants. Legacy projects. Record life stories via apps like StoryCorps or compile family recipes. My lesson. Purpose isn't grand. It's found in daily acts. I now write letters to my grandchildren, sharing stories I never told before. It's my way of saying, I'm still here. Your health declines faster than you think. The paradox of care. Before moving, I walked daily, cooked, and gardened. In the nursing home, convenience replaced activity. Meals arrived, stairs were avoided. Within months, my legs weakened. My neighbor Alice, once lively, ended up in a wheelchair. I aged 10 years here, she said. Use it or lose it. Nowhere is that truer than in a nursing home. The data on decline. Muscle atrophy. Seniors lose 3 to 8% of muscle mass per decade after 30, but inactivity accelerates this. Mobility loss. 60% of nursing home residents lose independent walking ability within a year. NIH 2021. Fighting back. Physical therapy. Medicare covers 100% of PT for nursing home residents. Exercise programs. Silver Sneakers offers free gym access for seniors. Nutrition. Advocate for protein-rich meals to combat sarcopenia. My mistake. I didn't demand a walker or PT. Now I urge residents. Move, even if it's painful. Strength fades faster than you think. Privacy and dignity become luxuries. The loss of self. Shared rooms. Constant interruptions. Strangers assisting with intimate needs. Privacy vanished. I'll never forget the aide who barged in while I dressed, saying, "Hurry up, we've got 10 more rooms." Dignity erodes when your life is no longer your own. The cost of institutionalization. A 2022 Human Rights Watch report found 1 in 5 nursing home residents experience neglect or abuse. Overworked staff and underfunded facilities exacerbate the crisis. Protecting dignity. Legal rights. The Nursing Home Reform Act guarantees privacy and respectful treatment. Advocacy. Assign a family member as a healthcare proxy. Private rooms. If possible, pay extra for a single room, $3,000 to $6,000 per month. My plea. Demand respect. You're not a burden. You're a human being. Leaving isn't an option, even if you want to. The trap closes. I thought, I can always go home. But home had changed. My kids sold my furniture, rented out my house. When I asked to return, they hesitated. Are you sure you can manage? Physically and emotionally, I wasn't the same. The longer you stay, the harder it is to leave. For many, there's no going back. The financial straitjacket. Nursing homes cost $94,000 per year on average. Medicaid covers stays only after assets are depleted. By the time I wanted to leave, my savings were gone. Exit strategies. Reverse mortgages. Tap home equity to fund in-home care. PACE programs. Medicaid-funded care that lets you stay home. Legal help. Consult elder law attorneys to protect assets. My final regret. I didn't plan an exit strategy. Now I'm stuck. Always have a plan B. Final thoughts. Is it worth it? Nursing homes aren't inherently bad. They provide critical care for some. But for me, the cost was too high. Independence, purpose, and peace. Questions to ask yourself. Can I preserve my autonomy here? Or will I lose and gain? Are there alternatives, in-home care, community support? to explore first? Aging with dignity. Aging is inevitable, but losing yourself isn't. Hold on to your life fiercely for as long as you can. Appendix: resources for seniors and families. Financial planning. National Council on Aging Benefits Checkup. Legal aid. National Academy of Elder Law Attorneys. Care alternatives. Elder Care Locator 1-800-677-1116. Like this story? Share it with someone navigating this decision. Let's start conversations that honor dignity, choice, and the wisdom of experience. Yellow Heart.